core subjects, these grades 9 and 10 levels. I think we're going to be stuck no matter how we do it, and I think I personally think we have to let the class sizes rise and let the public see that this is what's happened. This is what we've told them is going to happen. They have to see it.
I agree, David. I mean, I think the choice here is to, if we put this plan into place, I think we risk hurting our kids when they go and apply to colleges and they don't have the electives and they don't have some of the courses they're taking now. And while I cringe at a 35 to 40 size classroom, at the same time, at least we're still fulfilling requirements and they have it on their transcript. And I hear what you're saying about the lack of how much teaching is really going to go on in that classroom.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is also, and I hear where you're coming from, but I would also caution that we will be an impact bargaining.
Right.
Right. I think we're going to be in impact bargaining if the override fails regardless.
Right.
But I think this one I don't think I can support. I think we have to go with the 8 courses.
I'm sorry. I cannot support going above 30. There's got to be another way.
Nobody got over 30.
To continue it right. Orland said to us that we've got too many kids in the needs improvement category, and there's a direct correlation on that increasing with our class sizes increasing. If we continue along that line, we're going to experience.
Let me put it another way.
But I'm wondering if there's a way to address this through creative scheduling. Is block scheduling something that we changed it could ease up? I don't know enough about. I don't know if there's some way to tweak our schedule. Have we thought that far down the road? I know that some creative scheduling helped us in the middle school for a couple of years. I just know, speaking for some kids that are struggling with 30 in the class, to continue in some cases, it's just 1 or 2 subject matters. We're talking with students going into every core academic class.
But we also know that the kids who are struggling in the academic areas often need at least an elective opportunity, and we're talking about taking it away from them.
Well, as freshmen they take 1 elective, as sophomore they take 2. When they come juniors and seniors, if they don't have electives, if they assign study halls, they're a little bit more independent. Maybe they leave to go to jobs, or maybe they go see a college visit. So it's more on the earlier end, the 9th and 10th grade, class sizes being that large, and they don't have a lot of electives.
Well, I'm just wondering about the physical space. Can we fit 35 to 40 kids in some of these classrooms?
Some of them probably not.
I mean, I took a tour of the high school when I was first considering running for school committee. And I went into one of the art classes while it was in session, and it was literally almost impossible to move. To get up from one table and go somewhere else, you had to bump into at least 4 people on your way. And I just don't know how we're going to do that with the space. Where are we going to put that many kids? I've seen some rooms in here where the students are literally sitting as close to the front board as I am to the other side of the table. And you can't see the whole board when you're that close to one section of it. So I don't know how we're going to,
The goal here, though, is to keep the core subjects in smaller classes. There are some classes that are kept below 30. I know they're tight in some of those rooms, but some of those rooms can be used for only classes that are under 30 students.
I
say it. I mean, David's talking about capping each class at
Right.
30.
This is the hardest one for me.
You can't let
This is
them
the
off
hardest.
for one. if
Right,
you- when
you'd
you
have
cap
to,
on
you'd
it.
have to cap it. You'd have to say, no, you may not take that class.
And I guess the rest of it basically talks about reducing the requirements for graduation and electives.
Right.
That goes along with,
Well, it's all part of that.
right, okay.
So that's number 4. Number 5 is sort of an outgrowth of 3 and 4 anyway. It speaks to the instructional hours. 6, you know, this is the foreign language. We're looking for an additional teacher. We have between 26 and 30, 31 kids right now in our foreign language classes. That's not going to get any better, it's going to get worse. So Mr. Hodges and I are talking, and Pam, we're talking about, does it make sense then to take the 2 teachers that we have, don't try to split it up between 7th and 8th grade, go back to where we were, but probably not 5 days a week, probably 3 or 4 days a week, but only focus on the 8th grade.
So it wouldn't be a true level 1.
No, it won't be.
At that point, I'm wondering what's the sense of even
But
having it?
that's my point, which is
Right.
what led me earlier to say that if I had to deal with the 6th grade issue, then this
That's one of the ones.
this could be one of the
Right.
casualties
I think
here.
so.
But it has a long-term impact.
Yep.
So a decision that you make in the short term here plays itself out, as we saw when we made that change a year ago in the foreign language. So,
To start foreign languages in the 9th grade,
Yeah,
at
it's-
a level 1.
Puts us a little
It
bit behind
does.
the 8 ball.
You should have no AP.
Right.
Right, no AP.
number 7 is pretty straightforward. In addition to the reductions in music and art at the elementary and middle, under the failed override, we would reduce another music teacher position by 50%. And that's the position that provides the bulk of instrumental music in the elementary and middle school. We offer starting small group lessons in the 4th grade, beginning band, and then in the middle school, band and jazz band. And then chorus. We would simply not have the teachers to do this, and so we would eliminate all band and chorus, which would mean that there would be no spring concerts, no winter concerts in either the elementary or the middle school, or there would be no instruction in instrumental lessons unless the student did it privately, but there would be no jazz band or regular band in the middle school. So the first time there would be an organized course would be in the high school. So that to me is it's a very difficult decision because we've been working so hard. And last week you see the fruits of that when you go to the high school concert and you see what students are capable. That doesn't happen overnight. That happens because it's built up over the
Right.
years. So this is immediate for our music and our music program.
And the reduction of music and art in the lower levels. You have elementary schools with no artwork or no music.
No performances in the schools, the elementary schools.
The class size I've already spoken to in terms of, again, and I hope the committee discusses this with me, but I'm looking at a contract issue and how much time do we have to impact bargain before school opens to live within the contract. I think we've been able to get away with it. But I think you'll have so many examples of that in core courses that you're not going to be able to get away with it, and you'll be forced right into impact bargaining. Hopefully you can achieve that, one, before school opens, and secondly, in time to get schedules in place. So I've already said to the principals who are trying to prepare schedules now, that you can't do that. So we will not be reporting before the the end of the school year, who, you know, who will be your child's next year teacher? I don't know that. It's not appropriate to lay out an expectation when it's likely to change. And even if the override does pass on June 5th, it's highly unlikely that everything will be in place within 2 weeks to figure this all out. So I've also suggested particularly to Mr. Bernard, that if a class, if the number of students selecting class falls below 15, that we not run that class,
Even in AP.
even in 8th. Because I don't think we'll have the
That's fair.
resources, I don't know how to justify that.
Right, I think override fails.
So we have eight recommended program reductions from the superintendent. I don't know if we want to take a formal vote on these, we want to give a consensus.
I don't think you should take a vote now. I think it should be a consensus. I think a vote box you wouldn't want to it. I think, as
Right.
always, even though this is a consensus, things change, and we want flexibility, and the superintendent wants flexibility to make adjustments.
The only thing that, you know, and all of these are important, I think the early release day issue is something that I would like to try to send, without taking a vote, some sort of almost vote message to the community. I'm looking at this, and I think the Wednesday afternoons makes the most sense.
I
And
don't think there's any way around that.
Right.
I wouldn't hesitate to take a vote. Sorry, I'm still looking for alternatives.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not so upset by the reduction in hours because our elementary and middle school do exceed the minimum. The minimum is 900 hours. Now elementary goes 945, and middle school goes 960. I'm just wondering if that's the best use of time for teachers prep. I'd really like to get more input from parents on what would at least impact their day, but I'm disappointed to
When
hear
we start
that.
pulling parents, it's going to impact their day. We're going to have a long time trying to resolve
Well,
what
I
to
think
do.
that you might find other options like start a half hour late or end a half hour early.
I
3
think
days
you're
instead of
reinventing
1
the
day.
wheel to do that. Well, at least again.
I don't know if we've gone that far yet.
I think you're, in my head, the easiest thing is to go with 1 day and just,
People can plan on it.
right.
That's the easiest.
But
And
I
I'm
think that when we
disappointed.
made the changes with the batch for 2 years, and we were moving 2 schools to the late school, I think it was
25.
They're gonna be very late.
Yeah,
That
this
would- that
one,
would
we
be
wouldn't be
ex-
making up the time though.
No, that would be the same thing we'd be doing. The kids would be getting home at 3:30.
No,
No.
the students would be coming home at the regular time.
Oh, but they
At the
just
start
start in
time,
later.
Right.
Or they
So
could
they
be
start
dropped
at
off in the
9:30 or-
before
right,
school
Would be
program.
9:30.
There'd be
Okay.
no change. And it is disappointing that Wednesday early release day, because we chose Wednesday, will impact the professional development. And that concerns me as much as the mental program.
These are tough times, they're tough choices.
Yes, they are.
I guess as, the only, as with, as with Steve, I just have an issue with number 4 and the reduction in the high school electives. I know what Dr. Trojan is saying, but I think something like that puts our kids at a disadvantage coming up against kids in other high schools.
I think that's something, too, we could take a consensus on one or the other. I mean, I don't think we have to lock into,
Right.
particularly in that area.
Okay.
At this point in time. I think we could decide down the road whether or not we want to reduce the number of electives or increase the class size. There's nothing that requires us to give
Sure.
people advance notice of that right now. I suppose
That's true.
scheduling-wise it does.
It does.
Scheduling-wise it does, but,
The impact is internal more than.
yeah.
And two, I think it's important for you to know in the event that you had an opportunity to add something back, what the priorities would be.
I don't anticipate an opportunity to add anything